Hey there, herb nerd friends. How are you doing today? As you can see by the growth of the plants, it's late fall and everything's been raining down. Do you know what that means? It's root season. Yes, fall is the perfect time for us to pick root herbs. Why? Because all the chi and energy of the plants has left the flowers, left the leaves, and gone deep underground for hibernation for the winter. This means that any herb that we use the root for, this is the perfect time to harvest it. The one we're after today is valerian. Once all the foliage is gone, it's going to be hard for us to find these plants, but we can always look at the old skeletons after Halloween, such as, here we have this erect stem that is hollow, and this is valerian. You see how, you can kind of see it's got a hollow stem. Now when this is alive, it is slightly furry, sometimes they're not, and it's going down, all the energy is down underground in the roots. Now why would we use this plant, and where do we find it, and how can we turn it into medicine? These are the things I want to touch on today, so bear with me as we roll through and learn about valerian. Valerian has been used for a long time through all different parts of the world. In fact, there are over 200 species of this plant, and it likes to grow in those temperate regions around our planet. So in Asia, in Europe, and here in North America. Like I said, there's over 200 species, so this plant is adapted to many different environments, from swampy lowlands to grasslands to high subalpine. There's some beautiful valerian in the mountains here. The one we have today is Valeriana officinalis. The word valerian is from the Latin word valeria, and this is to be in health, is what it means. So this plant was used in medieval Europe as a panacea for all kinds of health conditions. Now here in North America, we are mostly focused on one specific action that it has, and this is quite typical of the way we approach medicine in that kind of allopathic model. Here's the magic bullet for this one thing. Do you guys know what that is? Valerian has been used for sleep. Yes, restlessness, sleep, anxiety. These are the main focuses that we've put into this plant. So, I'll have a little nibble on the plant and it's gonna sedate me and make me fall asleep. That's not true. This plant is much more effective when it's dried, and I happen to know that the chemical compounds in this plant are not really that effective unless it's been macerated in alcohol, because most of the compounds happen to be alcohol soluble and not water soluble. Yes, we can make valerian tea. Yes, we can take it as a powder. Yes, we can extract it in vinegar and other forms, but alcohol happens to be one of the best ways to get out the compounds. Triterpenes, sesquiterpenes, monoterpenes, and glycosides. These are all alcohol-soluble compounds, and most of them start with a V. So we have valerianic acid, valeron, all kinds of other ones like that. Basically, all you need to know is that if you're going to use this plant as a medicine, better to do it in a tincture or to make some kind of extraction that you can pull out those kind of compounds. So let's get started and start digging up some roots. Dig it. As we get ready to harvest this, we're gonna dig into the soil, but we don't wanna use a big shovel or some kind of trencher or something like that. We might wreck the roots. We're gonna use a fork like this. That way, when we get into the roots, we go around them and we don't cut them all off. Plus, because there's all sorts of other plants mixed in here, we're gonna have to tease out and find the right roots. Now, part of the reason we do this in the fall, after the rain, is because the soils are much softer and way easier to just tease these roots out of the ground. This is a valerian leaf here. They grow oppositely, and they grow along, and they form oppositely on the base of the root. It's a basal root that has a root crown and all little tendrils to grow down. So it's brownish, just like my hat, and has yellowish golden roots, just like my hair. These are some of these roots that are coming up here. So you see how soft the soil is? Gives us a nice ability to just pull those roots back. There's I can already smell it. One thing about valerian is it has a strong smell. In fact, this is a plant that has been used as a perfume, although some people really don't like it. If you eat it, it'll stay on your breath for hours, just like garlic. So it can be one of those things to be careful of. Now, as we've got this pulled up, not every root in this ball that I'm pulling up is gonna be valerian. So we're just gonna pull this bit out, start to weed our way through. Like, let's see this. This is a geranium, so we're not gonna need that. Pull that apart. Most of this is valerian root, all these little tendrils coming out of the crowns. Now, because it's a rhizome, it's gonna be attached to other valerian plants as you go along. So we can pull this out. We'll shake out a bit of this dirt. Wow, look at all that valerian root. Even in a doctrine of signature, kind of looks like a brain or like a nervous tendrils, right? You got these like little neurons that are moving out and in. Even though some people think it just smells disgusting, I tend to like these kind of plants that have strong odor and get really strong personality. Literally, I can take this root and separate it like so, pull off this little rootlet here, and regrow that back in. These things have a lot of chi, a lot of energy. As they divide by root division, this is an easy one to propagate. So if you find some valerian, you can usually just chuck it in your bucket, take it home, beat it up for a day or two, and then stick it back in the ground and it'll be fine. Yeah, that's my kind of herb. Here's some of those winter leaves, and this is a perfect crown that is gonna regrow back. So as I took a good chunk out of this spot, we're gonna just kind of weed this back and open up the soil. Now, when you're putting roots in the ground, it's always good to make sure that the roots are going downwards. And then I like to spin them slightly counterclockwise, just to kind of spin them so that they're all going down, and then pack them in nice and cozy in the earth there. Now this one will shoot up new shoots and be ready for next year. So because this patch is actually getting fairly small, I think I'm gonna take some of these ones back to my place and grow them out so that we can start to build a bigger, stronger, more vivacious patch of valerian for next year's harvest. These are what we're gonna use as medicine. Rah. There we go. Now obviously I can't just eat this as is, although I do hear from the plants that dirt helps you grow. I'm gonna want to wash it, clean it, and then dry it. It becomes much stronger once it's dry. We can make this into a tincture. If we're gonna do that, we can do it either fresh or dry. And if we're doing it fresh, it's gonna be a 2-to-1 at a 95% alcohol. If we're doing it dry, we're gonna do it at a 4-to-1 at a 40% alcohol. This way we're gonna capture most of the compounds in it. But first off, okay, so we got the plant. We know it's the roots we're looking for, and we know how to harvest it and make it into medicine. But why do we want that medicine? Remember how I said in Europe, this was used as a panacea, a heal-all. But nowadays, we use it more as a sedative. This has been studied heavily for its ability to help with sleep and restlessness and anxiety. Though it's not just used for sleep, commonly herbs get slotted into one category, but a lot of people find that this herb actually just helps calm down anxiety and just relax the nervous system. It doesn't have this effect on everybody. About 10 to 15% of people will respond to valerian in the opposite way, just similar to how cats respond to it. Cats go crazy over this plant. In fact, just like catnip, this is one of those ones that makes them get all loopy and spinny and move around and kind of almost high in that sense. It also does the same thing to rats. This was at one point used to be bait in rat traps. Plenty of studies have been done on people with insomnia working with valerian, and it's shown to be quite effective to help with restlessness and sleep, but also to help people get off of different types of drug therapies as sleep aids. So barbiturates and benzodiazepine are two things that have been studied where valerian is shown to help to reduce the restlessness and encourage better sleep while weaning people off of these kind of drug therapies that have other types of side effects. It's kind of heating in nature, so it has a real affinity for those kind of nervous or tension headaches where they're relieved by a little bit of heat on the back of the neck. This is where this really shines, is in that type of condition. Also in just kind of calming down someone who's overly hyper even, that kind of anxiety, overthinking. Valerian can be that kind of panacea for this type of person, as that sort of nervous agitation. The other things we'd want to know about this is because it's heating, If you have inflammatory type conditions, this might exacerbate those. It might make it more inflamed. So we'd want to mix this nervine with other cooling nervines. So valerian goes really good with things like skullcap and passion flower. We can put all those together and make a nice tea or a tincture, some kind of anxiety blend. This is shown in most cases to not produce that kind of after sleep groggy hangover. Although some people have told me they've had that feeling, but the majority of people wake up well rested when working with valerian. It has an affinity for GABA receptor sites, and in fact, it actually has a little bit of GABA in it, working on the nervous tension and the nervous system. I'm going to use this to make a tincture to help with anxiety and sleeplessness for myself. I tend to overthink sometimes and wake up in the middle of the night. And so valerian happens to be one of those perfect herbs. If I'm, waking up in the middle of the night regularly, feeling restless, this is the herb of choice for me. Now, because I'm already hot, I'm gonna mix that with some of those cooling nervines. I hope you learned a little bit about valerian and you wanna get out and check out this herb. Like I said, it's easy to propagate, easy to find. There's over 200 different species, all of which are fairly active. Some of the hybrid garden species are not quite as active, but you can find this plant and you can grow it very easily to add to your herbal medicine cabinet. So thanks for joining me, and please, like always, comment below, share, ask me questions. I'd love to share more on plants and especially a little bit on valerian under this video. So let us know how we can help deepen your connection to the natural world.
Bye.
See you later. Since we're getting dirty here, well, like I said, dirt helps you grow.